Hey, welcome back to the podcast, the Evil Dungeon Master Universe podcast. I'm your host, Vince, and welcome back. It is Friday, and it's time for a new podcast. Hopefully you're doing well out there. Ask the DM at theevildm.com, and theevildm.com is my website where you can sign up for the newsletter and get everything delivered to your mailbox without having to actually leave it and get all notifications. Also, you can reach out to me. Go to fb.me /the Evil Dungeon Master if you want to say, leave me a conversation or, talk to me. A lot of people have been doing that. I did get a message here that I'm going to be talking about today because it's going to be the topic of my podcast today. I got a message from Dan S. on Facebook, and he says, "Hi, Vince. I've been enjoying your daily podcast. I'm a longtime listener from the Roll for Initiative days." Yeah, awesome. RFI was a great podcast, and I enjoyed doing it. And I remember Dan S. from the RFI days. I was wondering if you consider doing a show on the deck of many things. Specifically, this magic item is a game breaker, in his opinion. The magic is so powerful and also so disruptive. How would you would you DM a campaign in which you would put this into your adventure and make sure the players had fun but didn't go completely off the rails? Thanks. Sure, this is the deck of many things is a great magical item you could screw with your players. It was meant to be screwed with your players with this. That's why Gary wrote this. Do you give this out at the beginning of a campaign? Absolutely not. Do you give this out at first, second, third level? Absolutely not. Do you give this out at higher levels when the campaign has a lull and you want to probably stir things up or maybe even end the campaign? Yeah. I wouldn't give this out prior to probably 6th or 7th level, maybe, because of some of the things on here. So go to the Dungeon Master's Guide on page 142 if you want to just look along while I talk about this and how I've used it in my campaigns and how you could use it in your campaign. Also, I'd like to tell you that if you have access to it, you could probably download it online because they're all over the place. But Dragon number 148, August 1989, I believe it is, has the deck of many things that you can print out for your purposes of using in your campaign. You put them in some card sleeves and boom, you have a deck of many things. Now, of course, you can go over the internet and possibly buy a fancy set for first edition. I think they made a couple of them. Just doing a Google this morning, I saw them, but I wasn't sure what edition they were offhand. Don't forget, because a lot of them were changed as the editions move forward. You can also use a deck of cards for this as well, and it tells you right in the DMG what cards are needed in parentheses next to it. So you only need 22 cards, but I would suggest getting a hold of Dragon 148 and just printing those out and then just cutting them and putting them in sleeves, or printing them on cardstock and then doing that. And you should have your own deck of many things to play games with. That would be the old school thing to do. Dragon Magazine. A deck of many things, beneficial and baneful, usually is found contained within a box or a leather pouch. Each deck contains a number of thin plaques or plates. The sheets are usually ivory and vellum. The DMG is a little bit blurry for me today. I apologize. Each is engraved and or inscribed with glyphs, characters, and magic sigils. As soon as one of these sheets is drawn forth from the pack, its magic is bestowed upon the person who drew it, for better or worse. The character gaining the deck of many things may announce that only one will be drawn from the deck, or he or she may opt to draw forth 2 or 3 or 4. But the number must be announced prior to the first plaque being withdrawn. So that's something that we really didn't do much of. I was doing this at first, and I remember when I was playing this, and Joe, who was DMing, gave us one of these decks. He said, "Well, how many cards are you going to draw?" I'm like, "I don't know, 1, 2, 3." He's like, "Well, you got to give me a number." And I was like, "Why?" What if I want to draw one at a time? He goes, "Fine, you just say I want to draw one." And as I started reading and becoming more involved with the game as he was playing, I found out that you had to actually announce how many cards with it. I find it odd that you have to do that and announce it. Why can't you just say I want? You could draw up to 5. So why does it really matter? But I guess it wants to lock you in. So if I'm going to draw 2 cards, you have to draw 2 cards regardless of what you get. Note that if the Jester is drawn, the possessor of the deck may elect to draw 2 additional cards. Each time a plaque is taken from the deck, it is replaced unless the draw is a Jester or a Fool, in which case the plaque is discarded from the pack. The deck will contain either 13 or 22 plaques, 75% chance of 13, 25% chance of 22. So you have to roll that before you decide to put this out there, just in case. Additional plaques in a 22 card deck are indicated by an asterisk before their names. To simulate the plaques, you'll use the normal playing cards that are indicated next to in parentheses. So it tells you what extra cards to put in there, and if you have a 13/22 deck, so you know. So the Sun card, which is the King of Diamonds, gives you a beneficial miscellaneous magical item and 50,000 experience points. Now, the 50,000 experience points is probably going to push you up a level regardless of where you are, unless it's really, really high level. That's why we don't want to give it out too low in levels. Because remember, regardless of how much experience you get, you can only go up 1 level per session per the rules. And I've always stuck to that. You can't go up more than 1. You'll have enough experience, even if you get more, to go up in level. And that's it. And this is not any other case. I don't care. I'm not giving you 4 to 5 levels because, I was dumb to give you this deck at first level, which I would never do. The Moon, the Queen of Diamonds, grants you 1 to 4 wishes. And we all know how I feel about wishes because wishes can be twisted. And that was one of Gary's favorite things was wishes. So the Star card, or the Jack of Diamonds, immediately gain 2 points on your major ability. So if you're a fighter, you get 2 points on your strength. Now, it does not say anything about if you go over your cap. So that's something the DM has to actually go over himself. Let's see. Under the description, it says that the 2 points will replace a character's score at 19. Use 1 or both if any of the other abilities in this order constitute. Okay, so yeah, you can only go anything of 19. You have to use it for one of the other abilities. Got it. So it does do that. I never realized that. My bad. A comet, which just has an asterisk next to it, which is the 2 of diamonds. Defeat the next monster you meet to gain 1 level. Now, luck of the draw is that you have to defeat the monster by yourself. You can't have any help, and it's just you. It even says the player must single-handedly defeat the next monster, single or plural, of hostile nature, or a benefit is lost. If successful, the character moves to the midpoint of the next experience level. So, there's that. So you try to be, and you try not to be a dick about it. I mean, if the next monster is an orc, it's an orc. And if it's a dragon, well, defeat that dragon on your own and good luck. The Throne, the King of Hearts, gain 18 charisma and a small keep. That's a pretty cool one. Generally, that's something that you probably want to do as a character when you're about in retirement phase. When they always say at 9th level was usually the retirement phase of a character. You can keep going, but usually I'll let them just pick where they want to keep and describe how they want it. And if I have a map of the land, generally I do now these days, drawn out, I'll ask them where they want their keep. And it doesn't mean you get everything with the keep, by the way. Doesn't mean you get a full staff and this and that, and you get furniture. You just get a keep. A plain old tower keep. That's it. It's yours, but it's empty. So do with it what you will. A key, which is a Queen of Hearts, gain a treasure map plus 1 magical item. All right. The Knight, which is the Jack of Hearts, gain the service of a 4th level fighter. Imagine being 1st level, getting these cards and drawing that. You'd have a fighter, henchman type person that's 3 levels higher than you. The Gem, which also has an asterisk next to it, which is the 2 of Hearts, gain your choice of 20 jewelry or 50 gems. And that one this indicates the wealth. The jewelry will be gold set with gems. The gems, all of 1,000 gold base. With this wealth should come experience points equal in value, but never more than sufficient for 1 level rise in experience. So, again, Gary's emphasizing you still can't go more than 1 level regardless of how much you get. Remember that. The Void, and it also is in bold. It's the King of Clubs. And I'll get to the boldness in a minute, but body functions, but soul is trapped elsewhere. Now, this one's an interesting one because technically, of all the people that I've heard that have used this in their campaign, generally have made it so that your soul goes elsewhere and the body becomes a blank void, and that's it. And there's boom, your character is gone. You have to go questing for where your soul is to return it back. Now, I have done this differently than most people that I've seen, and it's my campaign, so I'll do what I want. The body functions, but your soul is elsewhere. The soul of your character is somewhere else trapped. That does not mean your body does not function, because you can function without a soul in your body according to rules, because you could sell your soul to demons in the game or devils in the game and still function just fine. So your soul is trapped elsewhere, fine, and your body functions just like when they do in TV shows and movies. People selling their soul, they're still able to function, but their soul is elsewhere, or their soul was being trapped, or maybe their soul is still in their body. But I've always done it that the body functions, so it gives the character, or I should say the player, a chance to get his character soul back, and it becomes a quest. That's just the way I handle it. I don't know how you handle it. Flames. An entity between you and the devil. So where's the flames? Hate, anger, jealousy, envy are but a few possibility motives for the force of this enemy. The devil is usually of greater sort, possibly even an archdevil. The entity can be never be satisfied, save one or the other is slain. So pretty much you get someone after you, and you're going to be dead because it's an archdevil, and good luck with that. You're never going to get away from that. The next one is this skull, which is a jack of clubs. Defeat death or forever be destroyed. Or be forever destroyed. Let's see. A minor death appears. AC -4, 33 hit points. Strikes with the scythe for 2d8 points. Never missing. Always striking first in a round. And the character must fight it alone. If others help, they get a minor death to fight as well. If the character is slain, he or she is slain forever. Treat the death as undead with respect to spells. Cold and fire do not harm it, neither does electrical energy. So when I've used this card, so that these situations happen, I would just say that your character appears in this weird void plane, standing in this lifeless, colorless area, and you see in front of you a death figure, the traditional hooded cloak figure with the scythe. And he points to you, and he just and he points to you, and he extends his hand and says, "Let's go." And then the battle ensues, and he gets to hit regardless. And players didn't realize at first that he automatically always hits. And then he's -4. So again, a -4 will be very difficult for people at lower level to defeat. So that's why you don't give this out at lower levels. Let's see here. Talons, which is also an asterisk next to it. 2 of clubs. All magical items you possess are torn from you. There's really nothing to say about that other than you lose everything that's torn that you have. Gone. Ruin, a king of spades. You immediately lose all wealth and real property. A lot of players did not see that as a bad thing for the most part because, well, most of them didn't really have anything. They didn't have any real property, and the wealth that they had was mostly the gold on them. But wealth can also mean items, so maybe they will be mad because you lose all your items too. Again, DM decision there. Wealth is considered by status of things you have, so again, a giant magical sword or no ring would be gone as well. Uriel, I can never pronounce that one. Queen of Spades. -3 in all saving throws versus petrification. Most people just kind of live with that because petrification. So what's the chances that's going to happen? Oh, guess what? Today's a campaign with all Medusas. Dope. Rogue, a jack of spades. One of your henchmen turns against you. Most players are just like, meh, I don't have henchmen, so what do I care? Yeah, at some point in the campaign, you will have henchmen. Sometime in the campaign, you will hire somebody to do something for you, or an NPC to do something for you that will turn against you. Doesn't have to happen right away. It will happen eventually. Balance, asterisk, 2 of spades. Change your alignment or be judged. This one's kind of a meh one because most players will be like, yeah, just judge. I'm not going to change my alignment because, whatever. And balance, as weighed in the balance of weighed in the balance and found wanting. The character must change and perform accordingly to the radical different alignment. I see lawful, chaotic, good, evil, neutral, neutral, evil, whatever. Failure brings judgment, and if there is a substance deviance from the professed alignment, the character will be permanently destroyed. So basically, the DM has to judge them based on their alignment and actions, and chances are nothing really happens. So most players will just pick judge because they're usually playing in their alignment. Only one time that I actually changed somebody's alignment because I agreed that they were playing a little chaotic as compared to lawful. And I went over the reasons why, and the player was kind of reluctant at first about that, but then the group even agreed, like, dude. So he was like, all right, all right. The Jester, which is the Joker without the trademark, may I add. And I believe that's one of the reasons. No. Jester, just normal one. Gain 10,000 experience points or draw 2 more cards from the deck. You'd be surprised how many people want to pick 2 more cards from the deck as opposed to getting 10,000 experience. I would take the 10,000 experience and walk. It's like people go to a casino, just won $10,000. Yeah, I'll just gamble a little of it. Meanwhile, an hour later, it's all gone. The Fool with an asterisk, which is the Jack with the trademark. Lose 10,000 experience, draw again. That's a mandatory draw again. So, Vizier, which is a ace of diamonds. Know the answer to your next dilemma. That was a cool one to have because you could write that on your sheet, as in the key to your next dilemma, the answer to your next dilemma, and it wouldn't be fair. Should I go to the west or should I go to the north on this little fork in the road? No. I would actually make the player say, I'm using my answer to the next dilemma. So they wrote that on their sheet, and that's how they did that. The Idiot, you lose 1 to 4 points of intelligence, you may draw again. I guess because you lost your intelligence, you're dumb, so you're going to draw again because why not? And most players just, throw the d4 and happens. That's the breaks of these decks. So, Fates. That's the Ace of Hearts. Avoid any situation you choose once. Again, this is something that you can write on your sheet and use it to avoid a situation. Now, you could use it to draw from the deck if you want, because you draw from the deck and you get that imprisonment one. Well, I avoid the situation. Okay, done. Why not? But yeah, generally they write it on the sheet, and then they were happy about they have the ability to do that. Don John, you are imprisoned. There's no way of getting around that one. Your character just becomes imprisoned. Whether it's a bunch of guards show up and accuse you of a crime and throw you in jail, or I just throw you in the middle of a prison and you're trapped, shackled to a wall, and then guess what? Quest time. Got to find a player character, another character. So what I said about the dungeon is also an asterisk and a bold-faced card. Now, when I talk about bold-faced cards, there's a note here that says upon drawing the last plaque possible, or immediately upon drawing the plaques in boldface, void donjon, the deck disappears. So that's a deck of many things. How would I use this in my campaign? Isn't the question you kind of asked? I think I've explained that along the way, but I would not give this away at lower levels unless I really wanted to break the campaign, because some of the stuff in here will break the campaign. I mean, yeah, you get a beneficially miscellaneous magical item. Okay, say you were 3rd level when I did this because, I don't know, I was crazy. Yeah, you can get a magical item that'll benefit you, miscellaneous. 50,000 experience points? Sure, you can have 50,000 experience points. You're not going up more than 1 level. So, yeah, that's fine. Wonderful Wishes, yeah, that's a little bit powerful for a 3rd level character. But you know what? Wishes are dangerous, and a lot of players will not use wishes when it comes to my campaigns. I had a player in one of my campaigns who had 1 to 4 wishes, and he held on to it for the entire campaign because he was so scared to use the wishes. So, uh, immediately gain 2 points on your major ability. Yeah, that's pretty much fine. Usually, characters won't go too powerful when it becomes one of those. Defeat the next monster. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these things you can keep, which will be fine. You just have to put a little limit on it to make sure the campaign is balanced as far as how far you want to take it. Again, the void one does not remove your character from the campaign; it just removes your soul. So you might be you'll be a functioning person, but you just will not have any like joy in life. You will be kind of I would say the equivalent to an android, to be honest, until you get your soul back. And your soul is trapped elsewhere. Generally, you're probably going to be in one of the planes of hell. So good luck getting that back, because your soul's gone. It's being trapped, and it could be a fun campaign to recover it. So whatever, and everything else is pretty much could be done. I mean, defeat death is going to be difficult for a 3rd level character hitting a -4. But yeah, you can make the death a little bit lesser. Maybe -1, 0. I don't know. It's up to you. Don't have them hit every round. It really depends. But this is going to break your game regardless of what you do. That's why you give it out at higher levels, because at that point, you're probably going to be at the end of your campaign. I don't know many campaigns that went past 5th or 6th level that was continuing. I mean, I see things online of people like, yeah, I've been playing for 20 years and we're like 8th level. It's like, okay, cool. I've never had a campaign that went past 9th, the max. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I hope that answered your question, Dan, and gave you some ideas what you can do with this deck. The deck of many things. It is on page 142 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. I'm going to head out. Keep it original. Keep it old school. Good night. God bless, and keep those AD&D fires lit. Good night.